Imagine waking up to the gentle sounds of a spring-fed river with the morning mist rising as you sip your coffee by the campfire. Welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Lifestyle, where we explore the intersection of Orlando real estate and your best life. I'm Phil Kruse, here to help you make the most out of your journey right here in the City Beautiful. There are approximately 70 campsites or campgrounds within just 1 hour's drive of downtown Orlando. And if you go out 3 hours or less, there's over 200 separate campgrounds. Why not trade in your daily routine for a weekend of hiking through lush Orlando in Florida forests, or canoeing alongside manatees, or my favorite, roasting marshmallows with my kids under the stars and teaching them how to make the proper s'more. We're not lighting that thing on fire, people. You want a golden brown, crispy, and the lava texture in the middle. That's my tip for you with s'mores. Look, with fall weather coming in, I'm here to talk to you about camping. Our weather is unbelievable right now, and you can expect it to stay that way for the next 3 or 4 months. Perfect camping season. What I'm going to help you understand is the best campgrounds within an easy reach or an easy drive from Orlando, including tips and resources for those campgrounds. The best camping activities for you and your family. Some might be like pretty cool, like cave diving. You ever done that? Wildlife wonders and warnings, and even some essential camping gear for those novices out there that have never been camping or want to be reminded of the important stuff. And hit me up. I can send you a list of that camping gear. But before we get started about camping in and around the Central Florida area, remember that I am a real estate agent, and one of my main lead sources are listeners like you. Don't forget that a portion of all my real estate commissions go to charity. I support the New Image Youth Center, but if you have a charity that you're passionate about, when I help you buy or sell a home, my commission will go towards the charity of your choosing. Make sure to check me out all over social media, and frankly, all over the internet. I have a great and active blog. Just Google me at Phil Kruse. That's Kruse with a K, Kruse. You know, that awesome German spelling. You put that in Instagram, you put that in Facebook, you put that in YouTube, Kruse. Add the words Orlando or real estate at the end. You're going to find me, and check out my podcast. Obviously, you're listening to or watching it right now on YouTube. I have so many amazing episodes all about Orlando, not just about real estate. And also, I interview business leaders. I'm interviewing a gentleman who owns a unique health and wellness gym next week, all about exercising and the way that your body was designed. I also interview restaurateurs like Caleb Harold of Hawkers, and so many other resources there for you. So make sure you subscribe and follow me on my social media channels. I condense these podcast episodes into little reels for you on Instagram and Facebook, and provide you all kinds of useful information. Not to mention, if you follow me every Friday, you get a update of what my favorite things are going on this weekend. For example, as of this recording, we have an epic sports weekend coming up. We have Justin Timberlake coming in town. We have the EDC Electric Carnival. By the time you hear this, that'll have passed, and maybe you'll have missed out. So follow me on Instagram and Facebook for that information. But back to camping and back to the weather. This is why I'm bringing up camping right now. As of this recording, it's early November. We can expect the average highs for the next few months to be between 75 and 85 degrees. That's unbelievable. Super low humidity. And at night, especially as we get farther into November and into December, you can expect it to get down into the 60s or maybe even the 50s. That means you can go to sleep and feel good and not be hot and not get any sleep. That's one of the main complaints I get from friends, families, and clients about camping in Florida is it's too hot. You can't sleep at night. And guess what? When it's quote winter, right? January, February, well, we don't have a winter. It's pretty much the same. It fluctuates by 10 degrees or so, and just keep an eye on the weather. It is the perfect time to be camping. You don't have as many bugs. Again, not as much humidity. All the outdoor activities during the day are more fun. But you can always camp year round in Florida. If you go to some of these places where you can bring your RV, or there's glamping with cabins and stuff where you have an air conditioner, you don't have to worry so much about the heat because you can sleep at night like under normal conditions. And of course, we have a bottomless pit of landscapes to choose from. You can camp in the woods. You can camp in the beach. You can camp next to a river or a lake. You can camp next to a spring. You can camp next to historical monuments and so forth. And it's all within reach, an easy drive from Orlando. So can you picture that? Can you picture your family exploring hidden caves or discovering wildlife for the first time? You know, your kids seeing that stuff for the first time, sharing stories around the fire, or your family setting up camp besides a crystal clear spring that you could drink the water, ready for a day of swimming and exploration. These campsites I'm about to talk about have all those sorts. Some of them have attributes of each of those things. So these are my favorite campgrounds, and there's just so many. I mean, like I mentioned before, literally hundreds within a 3 hours drive or less, and 70 within an hour or so. This is just a snapshot, just a few to get your juices flowing, and so you can go online and start scheduling your family's camping trips moving forward. Lake Louisa State Park is super close and easy. It's kind of over in the Claremont area, so that's West Orlando, so easily accessed. The cool thing about it is it's like a horse farm. You can go there. They have horses. You can bring your horses, so they have equestrian camping. You can do horseback riding there. You can camp, or you can rent cabins. So it's a great dip your toe in the camping pool, so to speak. There's multiple lakes, fishing, boating, obviously horse trails, and hiking. It can be $120 per night, depending on if you rent a cabin, or $24 per night for just a campsite. And you want to make sure you get it on the floor, get your reservations on the Florida State Parks website. It can be kind of hard to book these different campsites. It's kind of hard to find, and the websites can be a little clunky. So if you need any help, just reach out. Of course, my cell phone number is always available all over the internet, and including in the description of this podcast below on YouTube or on Spotify or Apple or wherever you're listening. You'll see my cell phone there. Shoot me a text. The next one is kind of a general one. Ocala National Forest. It's about a 2-hour drive, more or less, maybe a little longer, depending on where you end up. But we go away from like the soft camping of Lake Louisa, which does have some amenities, as I mentioned, to more of the primitive camping if you want it. You're going to go up there. There's going to be most campsites, if not all of them, aren't going to have electric hookups. They're not going to have water. They're not going to have bathrooms, obviously not showers. So that's my kind of camping. When we're out there disconnected, maybe you get a crappy cell phone signal. At least you can tell your boss that, right? And so for me, it's perfect for the rustic experience. And when you get out there, you kind of have, in my opinion, maybe more options. You have more freedom. You have nobody over there watching. You're not going to be next to other campers. You could be loud if you want, or you don't have to worry about them being loud, right? Lots of rivers. We used to go on the Ocala River, me and my buddies, camp on the bank there in the North Ocala Forest. It was such an epic trip. So you could do something like that. You can take your off-road vehicles. They have OHV trails, or off-highway vehicle trails. So you can bring your side-by-side, your Gators. You can bring your Jeep Wranglers, your jacked up trucks, and you can go mudding out there. There's so much to do in the Ocala National Forest, and it's right there in our backyard. Absolutely gorgeous. Of course, all this stuff is first come, first serve. So make sure you plan ahead. And this one, since it's a national forest, you got to book it through the National Forest Service website. If you want something like the Ocala National Forest experience, but much closer, Seminole State Forest. Okay, I went there earlier this year. It's near Lake Mary, believe it or not. So we had a gigantic thunderstorm move through when we camped there earlier this year. We saw it at about 1:30 in the morning. It woke us up with a little bit of rain, and we were able to jump in my truck and head home. You know, it was only a 40-minute drive, not even 30-minute drive to my house in downtown at the Seminole State Forest. But other than that, it was primitive. On a river, we canoed, you get all the wildlife, nowhere near anybody. We didn't see a person the whole time we were there. For me, it was a great experience. Here's one to me that is super unique and highlights how amazing Orlando is. There's not a lot of cities in America where you can drive a half hour, 45 minutes, and be able to camp in a state or national forest with rivers and springs and canoeing, or go just an hour away and be camping literally on one of the world's best beaches. I'm talking about Canaveral National Seashore, obviously beachside camping. How unique is that? How many people can say they camped on the beach? Imagine your kids waking up, to the sunrise there on the East Coast, collecting shells and seeing dolphins in the placid water and those peeling waves. You can go surfing if the waves are right. Obviously, crazy birds. You're allowed to go fishing if you're in the right spot. There's historical sites nearby in Canaveral National Seashore. You can do some sightseeing. There's boat ramps, okay? So you can go camping, trailer your boat, and you guys can go on the boat for the day with access to the Indian River Lagoon. I mean, it's unbelievable. Camping is only $20 a night. You can bring your car. It's $20 for a 7-day pass. Your boat, obviously. Definitely make your reservations. This one also is through the National Park Service, hence the name Canaveral National Seashore. Only got a few more here, guys. I don't want to bore you with all the options, but there's just so many. Kelly Park or Rock Springs Park. Okay, again, very close, kind of in the Wekiva Springs area. Wekiva has its own spring too and has its own camping. So that whole region of North and West Orlando, but specifically Kelly Park, Kelly Springs, Rock Springs, it has a free flowing spring that's small and super clear. You can tube down it, but you could also do plexiglass or clear kayaks or canoes. It's actually a great place to go canoeing or paddleboarding. If it's your first time doing that out in nature, there's a lot more people. There's a lot of infrastructure. There's bathrooms. I mean, there's big rentals, boat ramps. It's much a lower impact for your beginning canoeer. They have guides that you can go with groups. It's a lot of fun. You know, you can party out there. They're not really keeping a close eye on you. And of course, there's camping. So you want to. It gets busy though. I mean, to me, that would be one of the only negatives is the amount of people. But with that said, you know, the campgrounds are very low impact. You have full restrooms, showers. You can have kitchens. It's going to be amazing for a first-time camping experience, and it's cheap. All right, like $5 or something like that. I mean, at least for the entry fee. Of course, you have canoe rentals. But you can bring your own paddle boards. You can bring your own watercraft. It's awesome. Now, here's the ultimate glamping experience. It's not Orlando unless we have to bring up Disney, right? Did you know Disney has its own campground? You might have known this, but maybe you didn't. It's called Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground. So to me, the word resort and campground, that's kind of a paradox, right? But it could be the ultimate glamping experience. You can bring your RV, you can bring your pop-up, your tow behind trailer, and have a glamping experience that way. You can rent cabins, okay, or you could bring your tents. And so you can have kind of all the different camping experiences rolled into one. They're very manicured. Obviously, you have access to amenities. You have resort style amenities, right? You're going to have access to the resort style pools and splash pads. They have horseback riding. You're obviously on Disney property, so you're right next to the parks. So you go to the parks. Most people would go to the parks during the day and then come back and enjoy the camping experience, especially in the evening and the nighttime, which is what so many of us imagine when we're camping, sitting there around by the fire, having a cocktail, or telling ghost stories with your kids. You can have your cake and eat it too at Fort Wilderness. Obviously, it's expensive. All right. So, you know, if you wanted to rent a cabin, depending on the season, $500 to $1,000. You can rent just a tent site to bring your own tent. They let you bring golf carts. You can rent bicycles, things like that. So you can do a tent, but still kind of pretend like you're one of the big money folks with an RV, because you can have a golf cart or bikes and get around and enjoy that. $150 again for the tents. They also have preferred and premium sites too. They can tie in park access to the different parks. The sky's the limit. Obviously, at Disney, there's a million ways for them to take your money, and they'd be happy to do so. And they offer group things like campfire sing-alongs. I mentioned the resort style amenities. They have a catch and release fishing lakes that are super well stocked, so you're guaranteed to catch fish with your kids. It's an awesome place. Obviously, go through Disney's website. I'll include all these different websites in the descriptions below, either on YouTube or on your podcast platform, to try and make things a little bit easier for you. My last one is going to be Blue Springs State Park. And I was going to stop because I don't want to bore you to death, but Blue Springs needs to be mentioned. I mentioned it in other podcasts. It is the closest spring to Orlando that has the what I'll call the manatee phenomena. Manatees usually live in the ocean. They usually live in either the ocean or brackish water, a mix between salt and fresh in the Indian River Lagoon. Really, they're in all the major Florida waterways. And during the winter, quote unquote winter, when the water gets a little bit colder, they migrate to springs that they can get to through the St. John's, through their other water management districts, because the water coming out of the springs is the exact same temperature year round, regardless of if it's hot or cold outside. So they know that even if we have a major freeze or a sustained period of cold that will drop the temperature and potentially kill the manatees, that they will stay by the spring and be insulated from that sort of thing. So you can go to Blue Springs State Park, you can camp, you can get canoes, paddle boards, what have you, and you can actually see this phenomenon firsthand. At its peak, there's literally hundreds of manatees condensed together near the spring source. And it is just, honestly, it's a once in a lifetime thing. And it's literally 45 minutes to an hour north of Orlando. You can go there for the day and check out that phenomena. Or while you're there, you can go ahead and camp, Look, they have cave diving there. Isn't that insane? Bring your scuba gear if you're scuba certified or cave certified and go cave diving. I would never do it. I'm scared to death. I have a lot of friends that do. Apparently, it's very enjoyable. I'll take your word for it. Of course, they have a boat launch. The sites have water and electricity, so it's another low impact area that is just chock full of natural beauty. I just can't say enough about Blue Springs State Park. And if you like the cave idea, we have Lake Florida Caverns State Park. It's 3 hours north of Orlando, so it's just on the edge of what I was saying. But it actually has legitimate caves. You don't have to go up to the Appalachian Mountains or wherever to go spelunking, right? To go through the caves. We have caves here in Florida with all the limestone that we have. And if you go to Caverns State Park, you can take the kids, go camping, go spelunking or cave exploring, and camp right there on site too. Whew. And that was just the tip of the iceberg for those campsites. But let's move forward. Look, there's nothing worse than going camping and running out of beer. Have you ever done it? Or how about running out of ice? Or, okay, fine, maybe you run out of water or something like that. You don't want to do that. So let's talk about the camping essentials for me, broken down by the type of camping that you're going to want to do, whether it's glamping or, roughing it or what have you. Okay, so the camping essentials, number one is beer, right? Okay, I'm only half joking, but for me, going camping is a lot of fun. You're obviously away from work responsibilities, early responsibilities in general. It's a good time to cut loose. So make sure you bring enough booze and food to share with your friends. And the best type of foods for me, I am a super healthy eater. If you know me or listen to my podcast, you know I'm holistic and want to eat healthy, but it's all out the window, at least sometimes on camping. I love my Cheetos. I love my Oreos. Love my s'mores. You got to do it the right way. Roasting that marshmallow perfectly golden brown. Do not light it on fire. You're just leaving it on the table. The quality. I love grilling. Okay. Most campsites at a minimum are going to have a charcoal grill. Even a lot of the campsites that are quote primitive or roughing it, they're still going to have a camp. They're going to have like a picnic table. They'll have a fire ring. They'll have a charcoal grill or maybe a large charcoal grill. So definitely bring your charcoal. And be discreet with your alcohol and check the rules. Most of the times in all these campsites I mentioned, since they're state and federal lands, alcohol is prohibited. Of course, nobody really cares. And the park rangers and the people running it aren't out there trying to kick people out. It's just for the drunk idiots or the kids like I used to be back in my 20s that would be inappropriate to stay up too late. Give them a reason to kick it out. Bring your solo cups, pour your stuff in a cup and be discreet, okay? Obviously, bring plenty of water. A gallon per person per day is always a good rule of thumb, and check if they have water available. That might make it easier so you have less to carry. First aid kit is huge, especially if you've got kids. You parents know out there how much a magical Band-Aid can help if they fall and scrape their knee. If you're out in the middle of the forest and you don't have any Band-Aids, that could be a problem. I would say flashlights, but the hack is really headlamps. You want to be able to use your hands at night, especially if you wake up and you got to go pee or take a dump and you dig a hole with a shovel. Bring your headlamp. Give your kids headlamps. They're going to love it. It's a novelty. Bring glow sticks for the kids. It's so much fun to have the kids run around with glow sticks, and that way you can see them. If you have older kids and you're like letting them rummage through the woods at night, the glow sticks are an easy way to keep your eye on them. Obviously, your camping chairs, your bug spray. I definitely recommend everything being disposable. Like, look, I love to be sustainable and have, forks and knives and plates and cups that are all washable. And you can bring some of that stuff, but I would highly recommend focusing on disposable stuff like plates, paper plates and stuff. Bring in some heavy duty trash bags so that you don't have to worry about it. The ice is big. Okay. Ice is going to melt. You want to bring double the ice that you think. Maybe you bring a second cooler just with ice, especially if you're going to be out there for a long weekend and you do not want to have to drive back to buy ice, and get a cooler with a strong lid in case you're going to be out in one of the roughing it areas where you have bears and raccoons that might be able to open up a lid or a container. Firewood, my favorite. You got to bring firewood. Maybe you're going to be at a place out in the woods that has like Ocala that has a ton of firewood, but what if it rained a few days before? What if it rains while you're there? I love having a big raging fire. I love having enough wood to start the fire just as the sun's going down, especially if you're camping now in the fall and the winter. It's going to get cool pretty quick, especially out in the woods. That's one of the best things. The sun doesn't penetrate those landscapes as much, and you get the cooler weather earlier. You build a big fire you can get cozy around. Bring more firewood. Bring 2 or 3 bushels extra than what you might think. And of course, have your fire starters firewood, or excuse me, lighter fluid as lighters. It's okay to cheat a little bit. Now, if you're going camping without an RV or a cabin, you definitely want to get a good tent. I recommend going on rei.com or on Amazon, obviously, and look for a high quality brand like Kelty. I would highly recommend ignoring the space statements of what the tents say. For example, if the tent is advertised as a 2-person tent, I want you to think 1 person. Okay, cut it in half. If it's a 4-person tent, you following me? Cut that in half. That should be a 2-person tent. Why? Because I personally don't want to sleep on the ground. I don't want to have to sleep shoulder to shoulder with my spouse or my kid or whoever in an uncomfortable scenario. I want to have a more luxurious camping experience, and I'm going to use an air mattress. So get an individual twin size air mattress per adult or per kid. Instead of using a king or a queen size air mattress, if you roll around a little bit, that air mattress moves you around, and you and your spouse are going to be jiggling, jostling around. But if each of you have your own twin size mattress, you guys can move around all you want. You're not going to wake the other person up. Same thing with your kids. And of course, that tent is not designed to fit air mattresses in their advertisement. So you're not going to be able to fit 4 twin size air mattresses in a 4-person tent. You're going to be able to fit 4 people side by side. So that's the main reason you can fit 2 twin size air mattresses in a 4-person tent. This is a huge hack. I highly recommend you following my advice on that. Make sure you bring a fully charged air pump. If it has batteries, bring extra batteries. Same with your headlamps. You never know. And then you want a small camping stove. I have one that just fits like a small pot. I can use a little coffee maker on top. I can boil water if I need to do anything like that, or heat up food. And like I mentioned, most places are going to have the charcoal grill, so you could do your full cooking there. And I like wrapping food in aluminum foil. Get heavy duty aluminum foil. Make pouches. Wrap up your broccoli. Put some butter and water in there. Wrap up potatoes. Wrap up onions. Throw them in the fire. It'll cook it great, and you might be surprised. It might be some of the most delicious food you ever had. Bring heavy-duty trash bags, and if you are able to be close to your car, in most cases you will be, put the trash in your car. All right, double bag it if you're worried about putting some towels down. If you're worried about getting some garbage juice in your car, it's better than having to worry about raccoons and bears coming at night and tearing up your trash and making a huge mess and freaking you out and freaking your kids out. Put it in the car, put it in your trunk, do what you got to do. Don't let them come and smell the trash. Keep your coolers closed tight. Tape them shut if you have to with duct tape. And if you have a dry goods storage with bread and chips and stuff that in a loose fitting lid, put that in your car at night too. And another hack with the tent, look at night, especially in the fall and the evening when it gets cold, you're going to have moisture, especially in the woods. You're going to have the moisture condensation on the ground. You need to have a tarp down under the tent. It'll stop the moisture coming in, because up under the tent, it's going to have the moisture come through otherwise. Now, if you're going primitive, everything I said just applied. The one most important tool for primitive camping, without question, is a shovel. Can you imagine why? If I wake up in the middle of the night and I got to take a crap, I want to make sure my shovel's close by, my headlamp's close by. I can run to the nearest area, do what I got to do, and either dig a hole first and go in the hole, or what I would recommend, going right on the ground, dig a hole next to where you went and slide it in there and burying it and mark it with a little piece of toilet paper so everyone knows where you went. The shovel, and I'm talking a full-size spade-headed shovel. You could use a little hand trowel. No, forget that. I want a big old shovel. I could build a big hole real fast and get it done. And you can use the shovel to manipulate the fire. It's my favorite tool to use to move wood around and reorganize the fire. So that is your summary of the different supplies you need. Let me know if you want me to send you a list. I'd be happy to provide it. And imagine, I want you to picture the joy of you paddling down a crystal clear river where the fish are swimming beside you in this beautiful, lush greenery that you've never seen before. You've never seen it so verdant. And then you look ahead and you see the 15-foot gator sitting on the side on the bank, sunning himself, and he sees you coming and he slides and slithers his way into the water. How would that make you feel? So what I'm going to be telling you about is what you can expect for wildlife, and mainly, what to watch out for with that. Gators, obviously, in Florida are the number one concern. At least that's the number one thing that people think of when they think of nuisance animals and think of being fearful of an animal. Like gators are afraid of you. Okay. In that story I said above, the gator's not coming in the water to come after you, all right, to surprise you. The gator was going in the water because he was scared. Okay. He saw you coming and wants to get in. Depending on the size of the gator, they don't care about anybody. They don't have any natural predators, but you aren't food to them. All right. So don't worry about the gators. If you see them, that's fine. I assure you, they're not coming after you like in some movie. They're not great white sharks trying to bite your paddleboard or any of those sorts of things. Their food sources are plentiful out here in these campsites. You know, they're eating turtles, they're eating large fish, small, very small animals. If you bring a dog, definitely be careful. Small kids by the water could be an issue. So the main way to avoid gator issues is don't feed the gators, number one. And if a gator does seem to be approaching you, you want to throw something, like if you're at the bank of your campsite, throw a big rock in the water, smack it the top of the water with a canoe paddle. They don't know what the heck that is. They think your canoe is a giant monster, right? They don't know. They're not sentient. They don't know your canoe isn't alive. Smack the top of the water with a paddle, throw a big rock or log in there. They're going to get out of there so fast, they'll be scared to death, thinking that they're going to die. Never, ever feed the gators wherever you are, because the next people that come, that gator is going to see them and think that's a food source. They're going to come and they may come hungry. Don't leave your children unattended by the banks, especially if you do see a gator. Be right there. Just use common sense. Keep your eyes out and be loud, and those gators aren't going to come around. Another great tip is for snakes. Okay, you have rattlesnakes. That would be the number one. And if you are by bodies of water that in the middle of nowhere, you could have water moccasins that hide in the thick bush. Usually they're not right there out in the open. They don't want to get eaten by hawks or anything either. Use a walking stick if you're going hiking. You want to poke anything, pile of leaves, anything that you might step on that has cover for a snake. You want to have a walking stick and you want to poke it first. That way you might disturb the snake with a stick and not with your foot for them to bite you. And never step over and place your foot down over something that you can't see what's on the other side, a log or a large rock. It is so common for the novice hiker to step over that log and put their foot down on the other side. It's a 1 in a million chance, but it is possible that a snake could be hiding on the other side of that log. You step on him, he bites you. Now you're not going to have a good time, right? To quote South Park, step on top of the log, step on top of the rock, look down, use your walking stick, and keep on going. If you get into a habit of doing that, you actually don't even think about it, and make sure you teach your kids. This is awesome, fun, teachable outdoor moments. To me, these sorts of things are fun to talk to the kids about and not a source of fear. This is just what we live with in our beautiful state in a thriving ecosystem. Bears. Yes, we have bears. We have lots of bears in the state of Florida. We have black bears. We don't have giant, aggressive or more aggressive grizzly bears. We have much more timid black bears. Definitely check to find out if it's bear mating season. And if you see bear cubs, you better know mom is nearby. Those are the only times you need to be worried about a black bear being aggressive. Generally, they're scared. They're smaller. They're almost the size of large dogs in most cases. Don't run. Okay. I know that sounds easy for me to say, but if you see a bear and you don't want to be near the bear because you're scared, just slowly back away. Okay. And just basically keep going backwards until you don't see the bear anymore, and then turn around and walk at a normal pace. If you run, it triggers the bear's aggressive mentality to potentially pursue you. And to keep the bears away, again, secure the food and the garbage. This is also a good tip for raccoons. Look, if you hang it from a tree, that's not going to work. The bears climb, the raccoons climb. They're way smarter than you think. They're going to climb up to the branch, drop down on the trash bag, and rip it to shreds. I've seen it happen. Literally, I've seen it happen when I go camping. Note that the bears are the most active at dawn and dusk. So if that is a big concern for you, don't go hiking at dawn and dusk. Stay by your campsite. Look, the bears are afraid of you. They're not going to be approaching your campsite when they have a fire there, when they hear all the noise. They are timid animals in general. Don't give them reasons to come to your campsite with open trash and food left out. And if you really want to be bold and make that bear go away because he's in your path and you just know you need to keep walking forward, make yourself look large, raise your arms up in the air, make some noise, scream, and stand your ground. There's a good chance if you yell with enough noise and go nuts like some kind of crazy person, that bear is going to think you're a crazy person, view you as a threat, and run off. This is actually the advice they give you on the different Florida Park Service websites, is to do what I just said. So I am not one of those crazy people. And thank God I've never had to deal with that before, dealing with a bear and having my kids around. I'm sure that's very nerve-wracking. Probably the most common thing that you're going to run into with wildlife that would be annoying is bugs. And that's, again, another one of the main reasons I want to highlight camping during the fall, in winter and early spring months, is because with at the lack of humidity and the lack of rain, i.e., which means lack of standing water, stagnant standing water, you have less or no mosquitoes. Now, frankly, if you're going out in the woods, you're probably always going to have mosquitoes. During the day, it's going to be fine. The mosquitoes come out at dawn and dusk. All right. So at those times, you want to start transitioning your clothing from your normal camping, bathing suit or whatever, shorts and a t-shirt. Go ahead and put on your loose fitting long pants, a nice comfortable long sleeve shirt, maybe put on some shoes and socks if you had sandals on all day. That is generally going to save you from the majority of bug bites. And then what other skin is exposed, you want to make sure you use a 40% DEET bug spray. Look, this isn't the time to get cute. With the skin so soft and the lotion, you don't want to get bit by bugs. You don't want your kids getting bit by bugs. Go with the 40% DEET, the hardcore stuff. Spray it on there. You're not going to have to worry about the bugs. They stay off, trust me. And they have wipes now, almost like baby wipes with the bug spray on it. So it's a lot easier to put on your kids. Doesn't get in your eyes and nose and choke you out. One thing I want to highlight is you definitely want to avoid yellow fly season. I learned this the hard way when I went camping in the Seminole State Forest earlier this year. We went a little bit late in the spring, and the yellow fly season is between April and July. And they're basically like a mosquito and a horsefly mixed together, i.e. they're biting flies. My mom did an amazing job of describing them to me because she's a nature lover. Well, yes, the internet says yellow flies have a saw-tooth appendage that they stick into your skin and they cut in with a saw motion. Let me tell you, I felt it. So they hurt like a horsefly does, and they itch like a mosquito. You don't want to go during yellow fly season. I would avoid camping where the yellow flies are in the forest anywhere between April and July. Make sure you look that up. And Benadryl lotion or like calamine lotion and antihistamine and anti-itch lotion can be your best friend, especially if you have kids. We all know how kids will respond both mentally and physically to some love and some medicine. Bring that lotion. Well, there you have it. Look, living in Orlando is the best. Not only do we have no state income taxes, but we're close to so many different forms of nature, from beaches to springs to lakes to rivers to the ocean and fishing and camping. You can go camping year round, especially if you like to go glamping and you can avoid the heat at night. Take advantage of it and leverage this podcast. Enjoy the information I provided you. And don't forget about my real estate services. I'm a listing specialist. I can help your home sell, not just at the highest price, but also fast, especially in this transition real estate market where buyers are starting to have more leverage. But maybe we'll see the interest rates come down and that'll change. I have a whole episode called The Auction Effect devoted to that. I'll send you the link or search for it in your podcast platform. You'll see it there in one of my over 50 episodes. And make sure to follow me. Follow me on social media. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. It's a huge help. Again, I condense my episodes down into little consumable reels. Follow me on YouTube. I have new episodes every Monday on YouTube and on Spotify and all wherever you get your podcast platforms. I'm here to help you. I'm here to educate you on all things real estate, all things Orlando, what's going on, how the city is growing, where our tax dollars are being spent, how I-4 is progressing, how the Brightline train is connecting to Tampa, and interviewing people like Kelly Sen, the owner and operator of Orlando Power Yoga, or the poet laureate of the city of Orlando, Sean Welcome. If you want to be a guest on my podcast, you know somebody, plug them my way. I'd be happy to get in contact with them and get them on my podcast. My cell phone number is in the description. And definitely follow me, Google me, Phil Kruse. That's Kruse with a K, Kruse. Put Orlando, put real estate. You'll find my website. I love giving back to charity. A portion of all my commissions go to charity. I volunteer once a week at the New Image Youth Center. I'm teaching improv classes there, and I would love to put the commissions I earn by working with you to work in a local charity like that. And always know that your best life in Orlando is within reach. Keep embracing every moment. Cheers. Thanks for watching and listening.